Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an exciting episode of Fanzone Debate. We are here for a match in our tournament, which we kicked off a while ago at this point, but we're at the final match of round number 1. We've got Kirk Kowalkowski, the number 1 seed, is going up against the number 8 seed, Kaleb Koho. This is an exciting tournament with returning faces like Brian Michaels. Brian, you played a match. It was incredible. You did great. Good job. It hasn't shot yet. Anyway.
Let's go ahead and say I won now, so now it has to happen that way.
Great. So I'll just vote for you every time, and then there we go. We got a big tournament. We got people like Kirk and Bill, Joe, Koho, Nazario. So Brian, a lot of fun. But today, Kirk and Koho going up. This is Kirk's first non-title match debate in a long time. I know he's excited to get back into the swing of the normal routine to try to earn his spot back to a title match. And Koho, on the other end of things, has challenged for the belt before, has gotten really close a few times recently, but hasn't quite gotten there in a bit. I don't think since it's been Fanzone. So I think Koho, I would never count out Koho. I drunkenly said to him a few weeks ago, Koho, if I was betting, I wouldn't bet for you. But what I meant to say was, Kirk's really good and Koho's really good. And Koho's really good at like annoying people and getting them off of their game. And also while bringing up good points. It's not enough to just annoy the shit out of people and win the point. He has good arguments and backs it up with being obnoxious. So I think this is anyone's game. I really genuinely do in debate. It's not so easy as just the 1 versus the 8. The 1's automatically winning. So I've talked a lot. Brian, you're back to judging. It's been a few weeks since we've seen you. How you doing, my friend? And
yeah, I don't know.
What do you think of the matchup?
I don't know as far as release schedule, but as far as recording, I don't think I've judged one of these in a month or two at this point. So nice to be back. Took a little break. Get to come back to a hell of a match, though. Kirk, obviously, we know everything he can do. And you said it just right with Kaleb, how he can really try and throw people off their game when he gets going. Because especially when he gets animated and starts like yelling, especially with Kirk, I'll be curious to see how that'll work. But no, this is going to be a fun one.
Mark, I have seen you so much the last few days, but I love it. How are you doing, my friend? And are you excited for this matchup?
Yeah, it should be good. I don't think I've seen Kirk debate in a while. I think it's been a little bit. I honestly can't remember. Koho, I can't remember if the last time he debated was when he let his opponent change his answer mid-fight. I'm not sure, but he's always fun to watch. So cool.
The last time Koho fought was not when he let his opponent change his answer mid-fight. That was a night that I wasn't supposed to be there, and I ended up being there a lot. But Koho's last match was against Jacoby at the end of last year. Jacoby won that match in order to make his way to a contender match earlier this year. Very good. And the last time we saw Kirk was when Kirk went up against Cody. So at the end of last year, Cody winning that match again. So Kirk is on a 2-game winning streak, but both title matches. He's back in a normal thing. Let's talk to the players, though, as we start by talking to Kaleb. Kaleb, you're bald.
Yeah.
But the last time I saw you in a match, I believe it was a Fandom match, I said the mustache is growing on me. I stand by it. The mustache is growing on me. As Nick said, it's also growing on you. But you are playing Kirk, and as you said, you're a little scared. But I don't believe you. I don't believe it. I think that you have a shot today. I think you're as good as any of the top tier players playing in Fanzone today. How are you feeling about the match going up against Kirk?
Everyone's making me blush. Gosh, I'm getting more praise for this right now in the pre-match than I have any match I've ever played in Fanzone, and it's scaring me. Like, these are the nicest words I've gotten pre-game. No, this is my first time debating since I made my evolution into Mr. Potato Head, and I'm very excited to throw Kirk off with that glaring, shine coming off the top. I took a lot of new approaches to this one. I talked to a couple different people about it, and I was like, how do I play this? I don't know how to play someone who is so stoically calm. I've beaten Kirk once in another life, I think. I believe it was another life with Boatman. I believe it was like a dream walking situation.
Right.
So I know that it's existently possible in the multiverse to win. I just don't know if I can do it tonight, but I hope I can. I have a lot of good arguments written on paper, and that's a first. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's see how it goes. We'll bring in Kirk. Kirk, welcome back. As I stated, this is your first I wanted to say 3-round match, but this is your first not title
regulation.
There you go. In a very long time.
Yeah.
You're going up against Koho. I think it would be easy to say you're the 1 seed, you got this, but Koho's a tough opponent. And also, it's been a while since you've had to adjust. Are you nervous about the adjustment backwards, or are you just excited, ready to get going? And
yeah, I mean, lots of feelings. I think it's been over 2 years since I've had a regulation match like this, so I'm excited. It's a different vibe. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. It kind of evens out as to how it's going to affect my game. But yeah, I lost that belt. And my advice to Cody or anybody else in this league who, if you win a title, don't lose it, because you get banished for a long, long time. And
sorry.
When Tyson got out of prison, they gave him Peter McNeely. And I was hoping for that kind of matchup just to get warmed back up. But you throw me right to Koho. Everything you guys said about him's true. He's a great debater, both in his argument style and his arguments. So it's definitely not like, oh, I get the 8th seed, I get the coast on here. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge, and hopefully I'm up for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, guys. Let's get into it. This is how it's going to work. So there are 4 prep questions based off of 4 categories that the players drafted. They are going to debate those questions tonight before our very souls. At the start of each question, each player is going to get 60 seconds to open their argument, followed by a 5-minute freeform, followed by a 1-minute closing. At the end of the debate, Brian, Mark, and I will write on our handy-dandy boards who we thought won the debate. 2 out of 3 votes wins you a point, and the first person to 3 points wins the match. Any questions from the competitors? Awesome. Then let's get into it. All right, we are going to kick this off, starting with the first category, which was drafted by Kirk. It was in the category of horror. And the question is, which moment from the Dead franchise is the most exciting? Specifically, the Romero Dead franchise. So, Kirk, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute to open your argument. When you start talking, I will come in to give you the 10-second warning when the time comes.
Shouldn't it be Koho?
No. You drafted, you go first.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. I've been away for a while.
Yeah, you good.
Right. Most action scenes in Romero zombie movies involve lurching zombies, people running, trying to survive. So I looked for something different from that. I looked for something that was more exciting, that had more going on. So I picked the final zombie invasion fight in the mall in Dawn of the Dead. Do you like zombies? How about motorcycles? How about machine guns and shootouts? You have all that in this scene. It's a big 3-way battle between the zombies and an invading group of humans against the survivors who have barricaded themselves in the mall through this whole movie. Like I said, it's like a 3-ring circus kind of scene. There's all different kind of things going on, all different kinds of action. It goes beyond just basic survival and killing. It's a great finish and denouement to this movie, to the story. It's been how it's been told so far. It's a great zombie scene because it's a scene where you can actually kind of root for the zombies and also some of the humans, and a lot of cool violence, a lot of cool stunts. Very exciting scene.
Time. Okay. All right, we're gonna move over to Koho. Koho, what is the most exciting moment in a Dead franchise film? 1 minute when you start talking.
I think what Kirk means to say is a lot of the action in Romero movies is fucking boring because it's not action. So I went with something that actually is exciting, which was the apartment raid at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead, where you have a bunch of heavily armed people with big guns going into an apartment complex, and then all of a sudden there's actually zombies in there, which they just aren't prepared for that kind of threat. They're in there on a routine, getting guys with guns mission. And going in and having zombies in close quarters, in small hallways, coming at you while there's innocent bystanders throughout this apartment complex adds an extra level of excitement, seeing how these people can maneuver this. Will they maneuver it? How do the zombies add to that element? I think it puts Romero's skill set in its best use by making the zombies not just obstacles, but actually really menacing and threatening in an actual situation where you are in fear for the people who are in the situation. So I will finish this up saying the apartment rates the best.
Time. Okay. All right, guys. 5-minute freeform, and one of you starts talking.
Well, you're trying to set the apartment raid up as a big scene with a lot of zombie action. The zombie in your scene are actually a very small part of it. What you're seeing is racism, police brutality, suicide, a lot of downer things. There's a lot going on, but it's not fun to watch. It's not exciting to watch. Most of the zombie action comes in later. Most of the kills are just a police force murdering innocent people. It's harrowing to watch. It's horrifying to watch, but it's not exciting.
It's absolutely exciting because when you go into that, while setting the stakes and the morals of the world and the story that we're living in, you then have them go into a room, zombie bursts through. They're sitting there saying, kill it, kill it. Another one comes through and grabs him through the doorway. So when you're talking about there's not really zombie action, it's like an 11-minute scene. At least 6 minutes of it is filled with actual zombie action and close quarters combat with people who have guns bigger than the people in the rooms. The rifles are comically huge because it's a dumb Romero zombie movie. And they are like having to fiddle with it while there's a woman who is screaming in the corner as a zombie comes through, and you can't shoot the woman, but you gotta shoot the zombie, and your person's yelling, kill it, while other zombies come through and grab them they're not expecting. So it's absolutely exciting. Whereas yours is something that I've absolutely seen done better in things like Zombieland Double Tap with mall action and big sprawling things. It's the exact same thing that Romero has done in other things. It's not exactly different just because you have a stuntman on a motorcycle and a mess of bodies.
I think the stuff you're talking about is all inspired by my scene because of how exciting it is. It's been used over and over again because of how exciting it is. But going back to your scene, yeah, the guns are comically huge. You talked about stakes. There's no tension in your scene. It's a police force, basically a paramilitary force invading a building full of innocent people. And the innocent people get wiped out, and there's not a lot of tension there because just there's people getting blown away. When the zombies come out, they're not. I think there's maybe 2 zombie kills in your scene, and they're both more innocent people getting murdered. So there's not a lot of like tension, like, oh, it's police versus these people or police versus zombies. It's just this horrifying thing happened to these people. There's no extension because it's not an equal fight. It's just these people coming in and destroying innocent people for no reason.
It's actually completely, you're right, not an innocent fight, but in the sense that the zombies are taking them out. When you're like, oh, they're coming in to just wipe out people, that's not true at all. Because when they come in, they're coming in for a singular guy who has a gun that's trying to fight back, and they go to get that guy. And in the midst of getting that guy, zombies emerge while they're in this mission. It's 100% exciting. And on top of that, you have the main guy who is already not on the same level as the racist people around him or the people who have different morals than him that are like, let's go in and just shoot people, and has to watch his co-workers, essentially, his teammates, are being picked off while trying to be helpless to help the people around him, to the point where he has to go into a back room and then meets one of your big primary characters from yours who does nothing in your scene later, but is like the hero of mine, which also like completely subverts your expectations about what my scene is setting up, where you're like, oh, you're exactly why it's exciting. You think it's a normal raid, standard typical cop raid, and it turns into a zombie attack. And you're talking about like, oh, there's no zombie kills. There's like 5 or 6 major zombie kills throughout that entire scene. One through the doorway, one comes to the closet, one gets on the ankle, one gets on the stairwell, and one in the main hallway. I literally counted because I knew you were going to do this. So they are 100% more exciting. And again, you talk about how yours are more inspired by yours. Just because it's inspired doesn't mean it doesn't do it better. Yours is really boring. There's nothing really cool about yours except, oh, big open space and zombies.
Okay, I'm going to go back to this real quick before I go into my speech. Yours is, again, you may have 5 or 6 zombies, but they don't have to kill. They don't kill the police. The guy you're talking about, the guy they're going after in the raid, the big bad in that scene, is killed immediately before they even enter the building, so he's not even a factor. As far as my scene being boring, you have shootouts, you have machine guns, you have these stunts being done. It's really cool that George Romero and Tom Savini kind of planned on the fly here on the scene. You feel that energy of them just like creating this. You have the guy swinging from the rope. You have the guy, falling off the balcony. You have all kinds of stuff. And again, it's perpetual motion. You have like you'll have a scene where somebody's getting attacked by zombies or fighting off, and then you have a shootout. You have my guy, the guy you said didn't do anything in my scene. He's sniping off. He's hunting down these guys. Well, he's letting the zombies use them as kind of like shields and distraction, and he's picking them off one at a time. He definitely has a big part of that. Not that does what is a factor and what's exciting, but he's definitely a factor. Everybody's a factor in this because they're defending the home that they've built. These other guys are coming in and trying to destroy that and wrecking this world we've built the whole movie, which is really exciting and interesting to watch. And then you have the zombie factor, of course, them coming in and killing indiscriminately everybody.
I think we have really different definitions of exciting. If you're talking about mine being boring and depressing, and then yours is literally, oh, everyone dies because motorcycles and explosions and people die, but that's not even really what's happening because there's like 3 pieces to it.
Time. All right, Koho, we're going to start closings with you. You get 1 minute when you start talking.
He talks about how there's all these exciting explosions and machine guns and stuff. I couldn't tell anything that's happening. And in reality, it's like, oh, big mess of zombies. It's like 12 zombies walking in a hallway, and all of a sudden, one guy's climbing up an elevator. And for 3 minutes, you're cutting back to 2 zombies eating 1 guy here. And then you look over, and there's a whole bunch of open space and not a lot happening. But then down the corridor, it's not exciting. It's really confusing and geographically not fun to watch. And watching all these people that I watched the whole movie die, which is not exciting. It's depressing, and I'm really like left with a bad taste in my mouth from that. Whereas mine, it sets up this entire idea of like what you're expecting is subverted. It's exciting because you're not getting what you're expecting. It's claustrophobic, and it's intense to see Romero use his skill set in such a precise way to have these hallway kills, to have these people who are clearly innocent being eaten in a kitchen, while the main guy that you're like already set up to care about being like, I'm helpless, while all this action with guns shooting and people not being sure who they're supposed to kill or what's even happening. Much more exciting and dynamic than what Kirk is pitching.
Time. Okay, we're going to go over to Kirk. Kirk, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Koho says my scene is depressing because everybody dies. I guess if you think the ghetto clearing scene in Schindler's List is exciting, give the points to Koho, I guess, because that's what this scene is basically. It's a military force coming in and preying on the weak and innocent. There's no fight. There's no battle. He's trying to set up as the zombies being a big part of this. They are a minor part of this fight. And when they do come out, they're basically helping the bad guys kill the things. In my scene, the people are getting killed by the zombies, you're exciting. This is the part in the movie where you start to root for the zombies and they're killing off the bad guys, and you're excited to see that. You're excited to see them get that comeuppance. So I think that makes it a lot more exciting. These are more exciting zombie kills because you can be on their side. You can pump their fist. You say, yes, I'm glad these zombie kills are happening. Plus, you have the humans fighting, like I said. You have motorcycle stunts and all kinds of really cool stunts and cool effects, cool practical effects. So there's really a lot more to get excited by seeing than Ko's.
Time. Okay. Gonna bring in the Judgerinos.
Oh, Mark.
He wasn't even listening.
He always does this. He always hides from me.
I like to write the answer down and then, I'm going to pop up on the screen.
That's fair. All right. Looks like you guys are ready. So I'm going to go first. Good. This is one of those situations where honestly couldn't tell you if Koho bullshitted his way through or if he actually watched these movies and knew what he was talking about. I have no idea. I went with Kirk though. I think that Koho used a lot of buzzwords and a lot of excitement, funny enough, in his demeanor to kind of give the impression of what his scene was. But I think Kirk kind of really in an articulate way was able to talk about Koho's scene and why, yes, on paper there are things happening that could be construed as exciting, but when you take it into the context, it's not exciting. It's actually sad and depressing, and why the killing and stuff in his scene is exciting because it's, especially in his closing, Kirk pointed out, like, it's the zombies fighting against the bad guys. The bad guys are getting killed by the zombies, and you root for the zombies in that moment, and that makes it fun and exciting. So I think Koho gave it a great shot, but I did go with Kirk on that one. So Mark.
Yeah, same views. I kind of agree with a lot with what you just said. I think ultimately, though, when I'm just kind of looking at it, I feel like also just kind of just down and dirty. I feel like the scene that Kirk was pitching, just kind of how he talked about it, sounded like a better, like a more exciting scene. Like it sounded like there was a lot more going on in it, and it seemed like there was more stakes involved in it. And I think he outlined at least those differences between his and Koho's scene, better. So I went with Kirk on that one.
Okay, Brian, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why?
I actually went Koho on this one. I think that he did a better job of kind of really kind of painting his scene for me, because I don't remember either one of these. I think with the majority of the match, I think Kirk spent a lot of time like attacking Koho's scene, but he didn't spend as much time like pitching his own, and so I didn't get as much of a picture of that. I think Koho did a great job of explaining to me why it was exciting, because it starts out as the scene of just going after this guy, and then this unexpected, the zombies come out, and it kind of just changes everything and adds some excitement to a scene. I don't think that the fact that they were, slaughtering these people versus the other zombies killing bad guys, I don't think that has an effect on the excitement of it. I don't care who the victims are. It's just excitement can be with a depressing scene or a happy scene. But yeah, I would throw mine to Koho.
Okay. All right. So split decision on that one, but Kirk wins the point. So it's 2-1. Or I'm sorry, 2-1. 2-1 in the vote, but 1-0 in the score. So we're going to move on to the next question, which was drafted by Kaleb in the category of epic adventures. And the question is, as I take out Brian and Mark, the question is, which Pirates of the Caribbean character should have gotten more screen time? So Kaleb, we are kicking off with you on this one. I forgot to say this before, but actually, never mind. I'm going to wait. I'm a disaster right now. Kaleb, you get 1 minute when you start talking. Go ahead.
So James Norrington is kind of quietly one of the most important characters of the series. In any other story, he would be the hero. He's got this great sense of morals, and everything's taken from him at the end of the first, and the second he gets that chance to get it back. And what he really doesn't get is an ending, like a real solid ending to him in At World's End. I think in At World's End, we have so much happening that we just rush right through Norrington's conclusion, kill him off. It kind of feels a little like out of nowhere. There's not much build up to his decision, or like he even plays much of a factor in the third movie. And I think that's why he deserves more screen time in At World's End. We needed to focus a little bit more on his closure, a little bit more as to his decision making, why he would turn to help Elizabeth in that moment, why he would abandon everything he fought so hard for in that moment to help the people that he'd been fighting so much to capture and had fucked over in the last movie. And I think that decision-making process, the world around him changing, there's a lot there that you could explore in just 1 to 2 scenes even added that makes Norrington's arc more complete.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Kirk. Kirk, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
There's a scene in Curse of the Black Pearl where Jack is collecting his crew in Tortuga, and it's the band of usual buffoons that we're used to seeing on his ship. But there's one character named Anna Maria, and she has a history of Jack. It's established there, and she reluctantly joins his crew because she doesn't trust him, and she knows what Jack is. And Gibbs has a line. He says, "It's bad luck to bring a woman aboard," and Jack says, "It's far worse to not have her." And then nothing happens. They set up this great character who can stand up to Jack, who is almost an equal to Jack, who appears to be that way anyway, who can be a foil for Jack, and they do nothing with her. The worst part about that is she's played by Zoe Saldana, who is gone on to become known as the queen of big budget spectacle action adventure movies, and just a total waste of that, the actress and the character. Anna Maria should go up with screen
time. Okay. So we'll bring in Koho. I forgot to say this before, that I was going to throw up the 1 minute warning. I was going to throw up the let's move on. I had to throw up the let your opponent talk. So anyway, I forgot to give you guys those before, but 5 minute free form when one of you starts talking. Go.
So Zoe Saldana's not like as established actress yet, so calling it a waste, I don't know. Anyway, like I feel like that's reaching to like what we know now. But my thing with Anna Maria is that while she is a great addition in Curse the Black Pearl, I don't see how you can use her more in further films than to have her be an obligatory extra background person like Pinto or Rigetti or Cotton, and then that's to me an even bigger waste in any of the movies, including the one she's already in, and that would be a disservice to give her more screen time in that sense because you're wasting her from.
I don't necessarily need her in the other movies. I just want her to do more in this. I want her to be the character that they set her up to be. I want to see a payoff to her either being bad luck or being more important than bad luck on the ship. You know, you have that scene, you know, after that scene, she basically fades into the background as a featured extra. There's a fight scene where they're fighting off the Black Pearl. But a great opportunity for her to take control, take charge. But she's getting bossed around by Will and Elizabeth, and they're running the show there. Would have been a great point to spotlight her and give her that moment. I don't need her in all three movies. I just need her to do more in this because her one interaction with Jack is so great. I think if she's playing up against Jack, you give Jack more to do because you make more of a challenge for him, make him out to be a better pirate. As far as Norrington goes, I love the character. I think he has the perfect arc. I don't think you need any more. 1 or 2 more scenes isn't going to make a difference. My memories of Norrington in these movies are as this great character who had a great arc. He was the secondary antagonist in the first movie. He made the right decision and lost everything from it. Second movie, he spends trying to get that back, makes the wrong decision and gets everything back. And at the end of the day, he realizes that he can be the good man and the pirate, which is the point of the whole movie, and sacrifices himself. I don't think you need the other scene. You see, he's the reluctant villain all through that. So
Except you absolutely don't get what you just said at all. In the third movie, I get my sword back from Beckett, and I stand there in the room while Beckett is going to boss Davy Jones around, and I'm on the ship when it happens. And then the next time you see him is when he's on the ship, and like, oh my god, Elizabeth, it gets a fucking boner in his bloomers again for her, and he's left sitting there being like, oh, maybe I should help this person who I'm fucking in love with. But then it doesn't come, it comes entirely out of nowhere. I feel like if you have 1 or 2 scenes where you add him being involved, or even seeing his reaction to Governor Swan's death, which is a major plot point in At World's End, which is brushed over, and we have crab scenes in place of it. It's wild. I feel like you need the 1 or 2 scenes of Norrington seeing the East India Trading Company not be what he wanted it to be, seeing that he's on the wrong side of history and making that decision. Even just 2 little things like that, I think, add more depth to Norrington. Whereas, again, with Anna Maria, you're glossing over that fight on the Black Pearl entirely because she's barking orders while steering the ship. Like, Will and Elizabeth are on the ship and calling out, there's person here and person here. But she's the one steering the ship and saying, they're firing on the left side, turn starboard. She's doing a lot in that fight to the point where then at the end, when Jack and all of them are on Isla de Huerta, she's in control of them and takes them away and leaves after they steal the ship. She makes the call, let's leave. And at the end, she gives Jack back his hat. She's clearly doing a lot in that movie.
Yeah, no, she's not, because here's the thing. At the beginning, she's established Jack stole her ship. He promised to give her back. The ship he promised sinks. She doesn't get what she wants, but for some reason, she's loyal to Jack. Her character makes no sense within what happens in the movie. I think you're giving her too much credit in that fight scene. She's in the background doing a few things while Will and Elizabeth are running the show. As far as Norrington goes, I think you're undermining the performance of the actor in that movie. I think you get a lot of emotion from him. You see him struggling internally. I think the shock of Governor Swan's death is something that was required to kind of jumpstart him. The fact that he didn't know about it and he found out, that's one of the things that jumpstarts him. And also, you see, you don't need to establish that he has the ability to do the right thing. That's established in the first movie. You know who this guy is. You know he can overcome the evil, whoever he's working for, to do the right thing to help the pirate.
What I'm trying to make, though, is that he doesn't know he's on the wrong side until the moment he gets stabbed. That's my problem, is that he doesn't do the right thing until the very last second, and it comes out of left field. He has the ability, he has the buildup, but we don't have the moment of him knowing he's on the wrong side. You don't have the moment with the Davy Jones whole thing that you need, where he sees that Governor Weatherby Swanson, when he was close to, is dead, or that decision is made. You don't get that revelation from him, and that's what I need. Just that one scene alone. And again, when you're talking about Anna Maria needing to do more, she is doing a whole lot. And again, she is one of the driving propensors of action throughout those. What do you want her to be? A glorified Pinto Rigetti? I don't need to know where Cotton came from. I don't need to know where Anna Maria comes from either. She is a really fun side character throughout these movies and does enough in the screen time she has that I don't need her wasted in an extra 20, 30 seconds of this movie being background candy.
The movie establishes her as something bigger. It gives her more to do and then doesn't let her do it.
Time. Okay. Kirk, you get to close first. 1 minute when you start talking.
Like I said, we know Norrington is at heart a good person. We know he's going to struggle with doing the right thing. We don't need more scenes we don't need to make part 3 even longer by giving him more scenes to establish that. That's been established in the previous movies. The shock of Governor Swan's death is what kickstarts him. So having him know about that would just, I don't know even what that would do. So I think we get enough from the character build up that we get a perfect ending moment for him. He sacrificed himself for the greater good. Anna Maria, she, in that scene Co was talking about, she is a glorified background extra. She's doing a few things, but Elizabeth and Will are running the show at that point. She has no real stakes in it. She has no real impact on anything. And at the end, like I said, she just is loyal to Jack for no reason. And it makes no sense to have that moment where she comes to trust Jack. They understand each other. They, come to some kind of mutual understanding. She is paid off as being needed and necessary on the ship more than Will, more than Elizabeth, as a member of the crew, I think is much more important than one more scene with Norrington.
Time. Okay. We're going to go over to Koho. Koho, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Again, Norrington has the perfect arc if he had the 1 or 2 scenes to dictate exactly the moment where you give Jack Davenport the chance to act like Kirk says, to be the actor he can be, to be the character he can be, to reveal to him Swan is dead, and to have him have that moment, especially with Elizabeth, and complete the arc. It's too much of a jump to go from where he is at the end of the 2 to sacrificing himself for Elizabeth in that scene with literally nothing but background candy moments where he is just standing stoic. The thing of Anna Maria with her is that one line does not dictate her as a person, because she lives up to that by being the person who can sail the ship, who, if you're going to call her background candy extra, you have to call Gibbs that. She's doing as much, if not more than Gibbs throughout that whole first movie by commanding that ship, sailing it through the action, and commanding it against the Black Pearl itself, barking out orders, and she's like commanding Will and Elizabeth in that scene. I don't know what he's talking about where he's like, Will and Elizabeth are commanding her. She's telling them where people are coming from. So Anna Maria is important in her 1 movie. Norrington deserved more in his.
Okay. Bringing you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The hidden mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian, you are kicking this one off.
You're muted.
That's what they call it, Cody. I'm going for Koho again on this one. I think this is one of those topics where you can just tell the person who picked it is really passionate about it, really knowledgeable. Gets himself a little worked up during this one, which is understandable. I just think he did a good job. It kind of explained how, Norrington, he did have a lot to do in the first and second movies. In that third movie, he just kind of, disappeared for a lot of it. He comes back out of nowhere. There's these moments where, you kind of don't know where he went or what led up to this, and he did need that more screen time. Whereas Anna Maria, as he said, was just kind of another fun side character crew member, like Cotton and some of those. He almost started to undo his own argument. We started to, sell how, she really was important in that last battle and things like that. But and then the whole fact that it was Zoe Saldana, I think he was very smart at the very beginning to kind of squash that, because, saying she wasn't anybody back then, so to think she needed a bigger part was just, in retrospect. So, but he managed to knock that off early on.
Okay. I'm going next. This was interesting. Both kind of took it in a different direction, and I liked it. They kind of recontextualized it for me. Koho took it from here's a arguably pretty big character in the franchise, not Jack, Will, or Elizabeth, but a pretty big established character, and let's give him more to flesh out the arc even more and make it exactly what was needed so that it's perfect and not like off a little bit. Whereas Kirk took it as let's take a character that has basically nothing but a really cool setup and actually give them something. So they kind of went at it in two different directions, and Kirk actually convinced me. Yes, Koho is passionate about the Pirates, but honestly, like Kirk really had me with like his whole pitch of like Norrington is a memorable character. You see him, and he explained his arc from beginning to end, and that there wasn't much more needed there, and you would just be giving, okay, fine, in Koho's own words, 1 or 2 extra scenes to a character that already has a ton, but we want to get more screen time from this character that we didn't get a lot from, or anything from to begin with. So Kirk had me convinced, although, again, on paper, I was with Koho, but Kirk's argument won me over. So, Mark, you're deciding this one.
It was really close. I very much agree with Koho, at least on the Norrington part, just because I think he is kind of he's turned into kind of a side character in that third movie, and but then I think Kirk did a very smart thing of picking somebody who is a cool character on the surface, but we didn't really get anything from them, and the potential was there, and that kind of swayed me. It was really, really close, but I feel like him pointing out like the Anna Maria being kind of a weird background character, her character not really making a ton of sense in the first movie, and it being more fleshed out would have been something where, as was pointed out a lot, Norrington is already kind of a big character. His arc already kind of works already, and there's more. Like if we're going with the question of who deserves more screen time, then Kirk was able to prove that.
Okay. All right. Another split decision, but Kirk wins the question there, making it 2-0. So Koho needs to hit this next one in order to send it to the fourth question. If Kirk hits this one, it will be a knockout. So the question was drafted by Kirk in the category of creature features. And the question is, what is the best creature from a pre-2000s creature features film? Kirk, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
When you're talking about the best creatures in movies, you have to talk about the creature that has the best and the biggest impact on its movie, on the characters within that film, on the story, and on the audience at large, while they're watching the movie and after. And I don't think there's a creature in the creature feature category or any movie in the history of film that does that greater than the great white shark from Jaws, affectionately known as Bruce. I think from the opening scenes when you get that horrendous, horrifying kill, even though you don't visually see the creature, much throughout the movie, it just hangs like a nightmare over that entire story of the people of that town and the people who live there and the people who are experiencing this. I think it's something that has just lived on. 50 years later, we still talk about it. We're still afraid of it. I think it's just a primal fear that this animal captures, and it's the best creature in any movie.
Time. Okay, Koho, we're going to move over to you. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think the best creature in creature features has to be one that's scary, that's thrilling, that you feel the dread and the absolute power of that creature. in that movie. In Creature Features, the creature dominates the movie without, having to be in the title. And the T-Rex in Jurassic Park is literally on the poster in silhouette for a reason. The T-Rex visually is the best looking creature in the entire Creature Features genre, in the parks and anything. And the T-Rex itself is such a terrifying beast because logically there's no way to beat a T-Rex on paper. There's just not. So you have an unstoppable force coming into a world where the smartest people don't even know what to do with it, that can physically dominate any other thing on the planet, especially if it gets off this island where a bunch of puny humans are on. So the T-Rex in Jurassic Park on paper and in action, the most thrilling, the best monster in all these movies because it is the one that is the scariest one to face in any way.
Time. Okay, 2 excellent picks. Gentlemen, 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
I'm glad you said that the creature needs to dominate the movie. Your creature is a set piece in one scene. That's it. We barely see him again. Yes, he's on the poster because he's the mascot of the movie. He's a good mascot. But everything you're describing is the Velociraptors. Those are the unstoppable force. That's what everybody's afraid of. You say you can't beat the T-Rex. There's no way to beat it. Hold still. The only reason that it's even a threat is because you have 2 dumb kids in the scene who don't know to hold still and turn the flashlight on. And then it runs. It chases the Jeep and it tuckers out and stops. And we barely see it again throughout the movie. So my creature is the movie. The whole movie is my creature. It's about my creature. It's about the fear of my creature. It's about how scary and dangerous my creature is. So if you're talking about any of those things, scary, thrilling, dominates the movie. Mine just blows yours out of the water.
Yours is no more scarier than a rat infestation in a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon, in the sense that they literally hire Quint, who is a known shark killer. You can hire a shark exterminator to take your movie out, and he does. That's the thing, is your movie is a shark, ate a couple people, and then we killed it. That's Jaws. So when you're like dominates the movie, it's dominating in the way The Exorcist is dominating in 1973. If you watch it today, you'll laugh. So it's not that scary of a monster. It's not that scary of a movie. And that's where you're sitting here talking about, domination movie. It doesn't. Because even Spielberg will tell you the shark not being in the movie, like the shark is a nothing part of this movie in terms of like its actual effects, its actual creatureness. If we're going to argue the best creature and creature features, I think genuinely the T-Rex, if you want to break down pound for pound tail of the tape, toughest hide on earth, teeth as sharp as diamonds. It destroys that Jeep, by the way, with its own, just its nose. So if you're going for sheer power, the T-Rex is a stronger and scarier creature. There's no blueprint on earth for how to beat the T-Rex. Like, to kill a T-Rex, you can't do it. Again, with yours, they literally blow your shark up. The shark is not the scariest because the T-Rex can kill your shark. It's not.
Okay.
It's not a debate.
All right. Okay. Let me go. Yes, no one is hunting the T-Rex. You know why? Because nobody's worried about it. Once it leaves the screen, they stop thinking about it, and it's all Velociraptors. There is a dinosaur hunter expert on the island, and his only focus is the Velociraptors. The T-Rex after that scene is a non-factor. No one's thinking about it. No one's talking about it. You talk about laughing at my movie. After you watch it now and you laugh. 50 years later, fear of going to the water because of Jaws is an actual thing. Like if you go to the beach and someone won't go in the water and they say, "Oh, I watched Jaws last night," completely makes sense. Like this movie, like it ruined tourist industry at beach towns. It's wiped out. It's held responsible for wiping out almost entire shark populations because marine biologists are like, you know what? These aren't as dangerous as you think, and we kind of need to protect them. People are like, F you. I watch Jaws. These things need to die. So if you talk about watching it now, it is still as significant now as it was 50 years ago.
It's scary to you because you're a grandpa, Kirk. That's the only reason it's scary. You were there in 1975.
The T-Rex is scary to you because you're a baby. You're a child. So
the T-Rex scared you in 1993. You said it on fucking Your List Sucks. You argued the moment about it. You can't fucking backtrack now, you bitch. So when it comes to fucking Jurassic Park and the T-Rex, you don't get to backtrack that. Again, you're talking about the T-Rex is not even in this thing. Of course it is. It's the final fucking shot of the movie. You're like, it's like saying that the fucking henchman in James Bond is scarier than Blofeld. Fuck off. The Raptors work for the T-Rex, and that's explained in every fucking sequel. Get the fuck out of town. The T-Rex is the big guy of that movie and wins Mine wins.
If you
because
wanna
this one, it's alive at the end in the final shot. Yours is dead, motherfucker.
If you want to talk about sequels and how yours gets punked out in the future sequels, we can talk about that. But yeah, yours comes in at the end in the dumbest Deus Ex Machina ever, where it ruins the one cool thing about your monster, the footsteps and the shaking ground. It sneaks up on people and the building in the Velociraptors inside a building. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. It undermines everything they established for that character. And yes, he's the final shot because, again, like I said, he's the mascot. He's the T-shirt, and he's great at that. But as far as being the greatest creature and the most important creature, it's a joke.
T-Rex on the toilet, Kirk.
Yeah, the one kill. His one kill is a joke. He has one kill, and it's an absolute joke. My kills are horrifying.
History's a joke. Fuck.
Oh, that's the funniest. You want to talk iconic kills in history? Beginning of Jaws, most iconic kill. The blood spray when the kid died.
On screen. You're
use your imagination, dummy.
Time. Koho, we're gonna start with you. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay. Case in point, and Kirk makes it for me. The T-Rex is literally so sneaky that it is able to sneak up on people in a building and kill the monster hunter that Kirk is so fucking doesn't care about the T-Rex. He's there for the Velociraptors. If that's the case, then that's literally case point match for me, because he is literally outsmarted by the T-Rex, which is smarter than Jaws, is more powerful than Jaws, kills more people than Jaws, and he's alive at the end of the movie to win the day and be the one sitting at the end of the day in the middle of the thing. You can call him the mascot, but he's the most powerful one there. He destroys a Jeep with his nose, and he literally kills so many people. And you brought up the sequels where mine kills the Indominus fucking Rex, which is supposed to be even more powerful. So yes, the T-Rex is the most powerful and scary creature in all creature features. Thank you for bringing that up. Again, yours doesn't do anything except eat one teenage girl, scare a beach, and they get killed by an alcoholic on a boat. There's nothing scary about a shark like Jaws, because guess what? He's just a fucking shark. He's just a water rat.
All right. Go over to Kirk. Kirk, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, you're good.
Koho obviously hasn't seen his own movie because he gives the T-Rex credit for killing the raptor hunter. The Velociraptors kill him. The T-Rex does not have more kills. He has one kill, which is a comedy kill. Jaws has the most horrifying kills. The kill on that beach, the blood spray in the water, Quint's kill, all terrifying. Just because Koho does not have an imagination and can't think about what's not in front of him, and he's a child and sees a big scary monster, and so the shark is it's what you don't see is as important as what you do see. That girl getting drugged around the water, that's my creature. That blood spray in the water, that's my creature. You see just that dorsal fin and everybody panic, that's my creature. It's not just about what you do see, it's what you don't. T-Rex is a complete non-factor in his movie after his one action set piece. Again, he's not sneaky. Koho tries to say sneaky, but they establish he's not, so it doesn't make sense. Jaws is definitely the most
time. Okay. I have so many thoughts. I wish I was fighting this fight. Okay. That was great, though. Sometimes you gotta just let them yell at each other.
I'm definitely taking a noise complaint for that argument. So it's fine.
All right, whenever Mark is, or Brian, are you ready?
Yes.
Whenever Mark is ready, we can get rolling then, and Mark will kick it off.
Oh, maybe we start with me, or
Yeah, you can kick it off if you're ready.
I'd say despite all the yelling, this was actually very close.
Yeah.
And I feel like on paper, this probably should be kind of one-sided, but Koho really came at it with the T-Rex. He made a lot of good arguments against Bruce the Shark or Jaws or whatever you call him. I think what really clinched it for me by the end was the closing with Kirk, which was honestly something that I think Koho, like, I'm not 100%. Koho never really brought up that he kind of did and kind of didn't have, like, we don't really see the shark. He's not really a dominant part. But then I think Kirk made a very nice point near the end where, like, these little effects is the creature and how everything is scarier even when we don't see him. And I think that small point is really the difference here, even though you guys really match blow for blow this entire one. Like this is honestly one of the hardest fights I think I had to judge, like, in the last couple of months. Like, it was really good. Bravo for that.
Brian.
This was the closest one for me as well. I was really waiting for the closing arguments because I still, even after the closing arguments, I wasn't sure who I was going to vote for. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that it's one of those questions where it's like, what is best, and the argument got into a lot of tangents about who is scariest and who is most dominant and who is most dangerous and things like that. But it's like, what do we consider best? Yeah, I was close. In the end, I also went with Kirk this time. I just felt like, especially his closing, he kind of discussed how, his shark, whereas the other movie, the raptors were a big part of it, things like that. The shark was like the biggest impact on this. And this one creature in this film kind of, he is the entire film, and the dread that even when you just see a fin, things like that, he is what is making this film what it is. So I think in terms of, in the context of its movie, Bruce the Shark is the best.
All right, my vote doesn't count. I would have gone with Kirk. I agree. This was a really, really close one. I actually wrote down Koho, and then the closings happened, and I thought Kirk just did a better job in the closing. Again, despite the yelling, this was a time where the yelling worked for me, and I thought both did a really good job of going back and forth. And on paper, I would have gone Koho, and I think that Koho did a great job. I think that the couple, there were some, mistakes that both players made. I was waiting for Koho because I was waiting for him to say it, because at one point, Kirk said very early on, like, all you have to do against the T-Rex is stay still. And I was waiting for Koho to say, all you have to do is not go in the water. And he never fucking said it. And I was like, that would have been such a, like, but he never did it. And it was really close. I thought it was a great fight, but your winner by way of knockout is Kirk Kowalkowski. We're going to start by talking to Koho. Koho, now I feel like a dick because I talked you up real big, but you played great. It was a split decision. Excuse me, on the first two. And not so much on the third one, but the third one was really close, admittedly, between the three of us. I apologize to you. Can't feel great, but I kind of want to get into your head a little bit. Your thoughts on this match.
Mark, what do I got to do to get a vote from you? I feel like this is like 2 games in a row. It's like a 6-0 sweep against Mark. Do I got to buy you a gift card? Like, what do I got to do to get you to like me, man? Brian, I love you. You supported me on an argument that I literally bullshitted the fuck out of. So I fucking love Brian. But no, Kirk is so good at this. So I knew I had to bring my A game. I think I went over like 5-6 pages worth of notes and writing down and crossing up. Kirk's gonna beat this one, so let me cross this one up because I already know if I say that it's a bad thing. I look like Charlie Day in the GIF where I have like the whiteboard and the strings, and I'm like, well, if I say this, I can get this. I tried to engineer this match to be the exact way, and Kirk always found a way to slip out of whatever trap I had him in. I'm so annoyed. I couldn't do to him what I did to like Bill. Or like Brzakala, where I'm like, if I set this up, I know Bill will step in, and then I can hammer him for it. Kirk just literally like stepped in it, took the trap out, and wrapped it around my neck, and hung me with it like twice. So it's so hard to fight Kirk. He's so good at this. So a knockout never feels good, but I'll be happy with the fact that it was like, at least it was like a split knockout. At least it was like I got some votes on the way down. Creature Features was definitely a like going down swinging, trying to take out as many blows as I could to just try and get that 1 point. Yeah, but Kirk's great. He's so good at this, and it was fun to play Kirk 101. I'll take that. I definitely saved the riling up and the anger and the stuff. I threw some things out about like Zombieland 2. He didn't even bite on it. I was like, man, I thought the Zombieland 2 would get him all riled up and have a good diversion, but didn't even get him riled up to the Creature Feature. So I'm sorry, guys. At least the third act had the big explosion you wanted.
That's fair. Koho, I think you played great. Like, I think I agree with you. I think you threw out some stuff that was really interesting, and I thought, for a self-admitted, like, very prepped match, I think you did great. I really do, and it sucks when it ends in KO, and I feel like a player, like, was really, really close, because I feel like that was one of these where, like, Kirk had the edge just ever so slightly on a couple of those, but Koho, we are going to see you back. I can't wait to see you back. You're always someone that I look forward to seeing playing in debate. So thanks for being here, Koho. We'll see you next time as we bring in the winner, Kirk. Kirk, you won your first match back, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first KO in a long time. You've got 4 now on your record, but this is a long time that you've gotten a KO. You went up against Koho, and it was a barn burner, but also not at the same time. It's weird, like I just said to Koho. No. But the other way. How are you feeling after this, man?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Koho played great. Usually, I've done this enough now where after a debate, I can kind of guess one way or the other which way the judges are going to go. But on all 3 of these, I was completely unsure. I didn't know which way you're going to go. And I know it wasn't easy for you guys because he was close. He had a lot of really good points, and he did throw a lot at me that I wasn't necessarily expecting or ready for. So I took this match very seriously. I prepped for it. I'm really glad we didn't have to fight that last point or speed round because those both had me nervous. But I feel really good about this because coming off of 2 matches last year, both losses, both pretty bad losses. And, even though it's Cody, it's you getting your butt handed to you twice like that and having a lot of time to think about it. You wonder, like, do I still have it? Maybe, have I slipped a little bit? And, I said at the beginning of the match, like I wanted to warm up, but I definitely didn't get that. And I'm glad that I can say that I did this against somebody as good as Koho because, if this would have been a lesser player, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, that's just maybe par for the course. But the fact that I still have enough to do something like this against a top tier opponent like that really is a real confidence boost for me moving forward.
Absolutely. And Kirk, your next opponent won't be any easier. You're going up against the number 4 seed from the first match of the tournament. You're going up against the number 4 seed, Joe Farrelly, who you have played before many, many moons ago. I still lived in Madison, Wisconsin. That was 3 homes ago for me.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about going up against Joe?
It'll definitely be a very different match from the first one. I've been watching Joe, and he has improved greatly. I think he's maybe like a top 5 player in the league now. Outside of like the top contenders, like the people you think of when you think of the championship matches, I think Joe is right at that next level. So I'm excited to play him, and again, it'll be a challenge. But like I said, winning this one the way I did makes me feel a lot better than that about that.
Awesome. Well, Kirk, we're going to see it in a few weeks here. I'm looking forward to it. So good luck in the match against Joe. But we're going to get final thoughts starting with Brian. Brian, final thoughts from you.
Enjoyed this debate. Obviously, I felt it went differently. I had it 2-1 Koho so far, but that's why you have 3 judges. But it was exciting. Nice to see Kirk kind of getting back in his groove after having to sit on the sidelines for a while. And Koho, it was everything I thought Koho should have been in this round. It just you guys saw it a little differently. I did enjoy your little backhanded compliment or whatever when you said you apologized to him because you're like, oh, because I talked you up at the beginning. It's kind of like saying, oh, but you turned out to really suck. I shouldn't have talked you up. I'm sorry I made people think you were good.
That was not my intention. I'm bad at this, I guess.
And then looking forward, I think that Kirk's match with Joe will be real interesting because Joe is very different. He has a much more laid back, calm debate style. So we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, Mark, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, this is one of those where the box score I don't think reflects like what we saw here today. The the last two fights I say were really really close. And I think I'm not even sure exact like there was maybe like it was such a game of inches like where maybe a couple things would have gone differently here. Maybe Ko squeaks the point, but that's just kind of how good Kirk is. It's just Koho brought an A game here today, and Kirk was still able to outmaneuver him some places. I mean, he's got a challenge with Joe next, but I mean, when Kirk's firing on all cylinders like this, I'm not sure like who has it in them to beat Kirk if he's playing like this.
Oh, that's fair. All right. Well, we'll see what happens in the next one. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to tune back in a couple weeks as round 2 of the tournament starts. We totally know who's playing in that. We've totally shot all of the matches so far for the rest of the tournament. So be on the lookout for it. But thank you to Brian and Mark for judging. Thank you to Kirk and Koho for playing. I have been Tim. We'll see you guys next time with another great match. And until then, have a great night. Thanks. Bye.
Go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.